Okay, in this lesson we're going to be, and I'm using air quotes, painting with tissue paper. Okay, so this is an example of the finished product. Now what we're going to do is start from scratch, and I'm going to show you how to do it. The first thing that you need to do is gather some of your supplies around, and this is an 8" by 8" canvas board. Okay, and you can, if you have other sizes, that's fine. I just wouldn't go too much bigger because it will take a while for you to get all your tissue paper covering all of this. Okay, the other thing you need is about an inch wide paintbrush, Mod Podge, or you can use regular school glue, plastic bowl, or something that you don't mind getting glue into, and some water. Okay, so what we need to do first is pour the Mod Podge or the glue, and that should be plenty. And then we're just going to spritz just a little bit of water in it. We want it to be just a little bit thinner than what it normally is. So I use my fingers, as you saw, to just put a little bit. You don't want to make it too watery. And then you want to take your paintbrush and stir that all up. You don't want pockets of water. Okay, so it's just a little drippy. Okay, so we'll put that off to the side. The next thing that you want to do is take your tissue paper, and you should have a light green, a dark green, red, orange, white, a lighter blue, and then a darker blue. Okay, so obviously the greens are going to be used for the grass on the hills, and then we've got the red and the orange. Oh, and you know what I forgot to set out? I need some yellow. So that's also for our sunset, right? Because a sunset isn't just one color. And we don't need very many pieces of the colors for the sunset, the red, the orange, the yellow, and then we also don't need too much white, so don't make a big pile of it. Anyway, so what you want to do is you want to just take your fingers and tear off small pieces. Don't make them too big. And do that for all of your colors, because once we get some glue on our hands, we don't want to have to keep washing them to tear up some more paper. Okay, so why don't you pause the video while you tear up your paper and keep them in separate piles. Okay, so we're going to start down at the bottom of the canvas, and we're going to just put some glue on the canvas itself, and then we're going to put the tissue paper on top, and then we're going to take our brush again and paint over it. Okay, so glue on the canvas, then the tissue paper, then go over the tissue paper again with more glue. And it's fine for you to layer, and then you'll see that you get subtle variations on the color just by layering. Now you want to try to get this right up to the edge and then go over it. So if you have some that you've torn that are pretty straight edge, that would be great to put on the edge. Now if you have some overhang, that's no problem, because we'll go back over it with scissors once it's dried and trim those up. This has a nice straight edge on it, so I'm going to put it down here. You just pat it down. And sometimes you can get those edges to just sort of wrap around the edges, so you won't even have to trim those up. So we'll keep going along for a little bit with our light green. Oops, I got some of those over there. And they definitely don't have to be straight. They can be at different angles. I'm going to put a few more pieces of the light green, and then I'm going to start layering in some dark green. And those will be like the shadows of the contours of hills. Now you can vary your shape. Now some of these I'm going to make very skinny, like this. And if it wants to stick up, just very carefully. It doesn't tear the tissue paper doesn't tear too easily, but you still need to be kind of careful. And it's okay if you get some wrinkles in it, because that gives it texture, right? Here's a pretty skinny one. Now yours is not going to look like mine, and that is a-okay. So you can start layering some of your light green over the dark green and get yet another color. And if you have excess glue, you can just kind of spread it out. All right, then we'll go back to our lighter green. You can overlap it slightly with your dark green. Or you can cover the dark green up. Oops, pulled the wrong one. Pull the dark green up. Excuse me, I said pull. Cover the dark green up. Sometimes it's hard for me to talk while I'm concentrating on working too. Still getting used to making videos. I hope you're having fun doing this. I find it quite fun. Mostly because there's no really right or wrong going on here. And it's really pretty easy. You don't have to have great drawing talent. Okay, so I'm going to go back to my dark green. And try not to leave little white spots of the canvas showing through. And again, you can tear the size of the tissue paper to fit whatever space you want it to fit. I'm going to put some light green over that because it's kind of too straight of a line there. So I wanted to cover that up a little bit. Now I'm going to grab some more light green because I'm running out. That's the color that you'll use the most. Oh, I kind of like this because it sort of looks like grass coming up. That was an unexpected effect. I like that. Okay, so if you can see, I've got a little white spot there. So I'm going to make sure my next piece covers that up. Okay, so we can stop here. If you want to build it up a little bit higher, you can do that. So now we'll get ready to switch to our blue. So now we're ready to do our blue. And if you've noticed, if you've looked out over the landscape, and you'll notice that the sky just around along the horizon line looks a little bit darker. So we're going to take small pieces of our darker blue, and we're going to primarily put them along the top of our hills. And you can have a little bit of overlap. And I'm using pretty small pieces so that I can kind of manipulate where they're going to be. I can control it a little bit more when it's a small piece, right? We can do some angles and that kind of thing. And just have it just touching your green. I've got that little spot right there, the white showing through, so I'm going to put, excuse me. So we're just following right along that line. Now I can use a little bigger one right over here. I have a bigger spot. My fingers are getting a little sticky. If yours get too sticky, make sure to pause the video and go wash your hands. Take that one right up along the side. Okay, now we're ready to do with the lighter blue. Again, we want to overlap it with our darker blue a little bit. That'll make a third color. Had some thunderstorms in the area. I don't know if you can hear that or not. All right, now I've used up all of my torn light blues, so I'm going to tear some more pieces. I'm going down straight line here because I've got all of this border to cover up, and it's easier if you have some straight lines. Last me for a little while. Now you don't have to put glue down all the time first. If you've already got glue on there, you can just use what's on there. You'll know when it's too dry and not sticky enough. And here's one of my nice long straight pieces. So I'm going to put it up here. And again, if there's anything that's sort of sticking out when it's dry, you can take a pair of scissors, sharp scissors, and trim it off. And again, make sure you overlap them. Okay, so it looks like I need to tear some more light blue. See why I advised you not to use too big of a canvas, because this can take a while, but you know, if you like this technique, you can use this technique on other size canvases and do other, you can do flowers, you can, I saw a cute one made with using this technique, making tulips. You can design whatever you want. You could do a rainbow. So it uses pretty simple supplies. So, and like I said, I really enjoy it. It just seems like it's relaxing and fun to do. And I like the results of it too. It's a nice change of pace from painting all the time. See, in the center here, you can use some slightly bigger pieces. We'll see if that's enough. And when we get done with the blue, we're going to start working on the sunset. Okay, so I've got very little leftover pieces. And notice I have a few spots where the white's showing up here in my sky. So I'm going to cover those up. All right. And I have a little spot over here off to the side that's bothering me. There we go. Okay, so now we want to take red, and we're going to take pretty small little pieces because we want to make a circle out of them. We want it to come right up over the hill. So this is the setting sun. And this little piece has a straight edge, so I don't want it to be out because obviously the sun isn't straight, right? There we go. Doesn't have to be a perfect circle, but going for the illusion of circle. Okay, I think that's pretty good. Now we're going to take some small pieces of orange, pretty small, and we're going to put them around the circle we've already made. Again, overlapping is all right. But smaller pieces work better. Because remember, in nature, that colors kind of blend into one another, right? If you've looked at a sunset closely, you'll notice that they kind of blend, the colors blend together. Okay, now we're going to use small pieces of yellow. I'm going to tear this a little bit. We're going to go around. All right, so we're done with our sunset. I know what I want to do. I want to put this piece of yellow right there along the edge. There we go. It had some blue sitting there. Okay, so the only other thing that we have to do is kind of a hint of a cloud. So we're going to put our cloud over here. Okay, so we're finished. Now this will take quite a while to dry because we put a lot of glue on there. So set it off to the side where it won't be bothered for a little while. And then when you come back and it's dried, again, if you want to trim up any of the edges, you can do that if you've got what I call stick outs. Okay? Great working with you today. Take care.